Hello everyone and welcome back to another tutorial video and tutorial number 4. And today we're going to look at the pre-flight for the 737. And yes, so first disclaimer, I'm not a revered pilot, so everything might not be 100% correct, but it should be good enough for a realistic flight inside the simulator. So then we can begin. So we have done all the tests that we need, so we can go straight up to check everything up in the overhead. So the iris is aligned. The first we actually can do is to set the brightness we want. So I think this might be a little bit too dark, so we can maybe take this. So then we can just set the brightness as required on the displays. Like that. And we can also do it on the left side here. You don't need to do it, but if it is dark, for example, and you have and the displays are very bright on the opposite side, then yeah, you should change it there as well. So then we can begin on the overhead panel. So we can begin at the top here. We're going to check that the flight control switches are all closed and guarded, and that the alternate flap extension is on the off position, and that all of these lights here are extinguished. The yaw damper, that can be turned on when the RS is aligned, and it is, so we can turn it on and watch that the light extinguished. There you go. The navigation the navigation switches all should be at the normal position. Display switches, the control panel at normal, and the source light in the auto position. We're going to check that the engine valves are closed and we get a light out of there. And if refilling is complete, you can turn on the fuel pumps if you want to. And currently we have a fuel in both the wing tanks, so we can turn on all 4 of the 4 pumps. You don't need to do it now, you can if you want. And yeah, so fuel in the center tank. If you have above 450 kilograms of fuel in the center tank, you can turn it on or turn them on. If you have below 450, you don't want to turn them on. The reason why is then on takeoff you're going to get a warning, low fuel in the center tanks, or a master caution on takeoff, and that means you need to reject, and that is something you don't want to do. So leave them off if you have below 450 kilograms. And we're also going to check that the landing lights off and the taxi lights off. You can go back here, you can check the electric panel as required. Go to check that the battery is closed and guarded. And we can check that the cabin utility and the IFE is in the on position. We're going to check that the standby power is in the closed and guarded position, and that the disconnect drivers are all in the closed and guarded position. External power as required. The bus transfer is in the guarded position, and that the APU is off and the wipers in the park position. Going to continue up here again. Lights as required. The equipment cooling in the normal position. As you can see here, the equipment cooling is in the different or is going up the opposite way than it is, for example, here in the cabin utility switch. So that's something to note, that the normal position is the opposite way. We're going to check that the emergency exit lights are closed and guarded. That means they are armed. The seat lights, turn them on if refilling is complete. In our case that is completed, so it is on. And we're going to check that the engine start switches at the off position and the ignition on both. You can go up here, you can check that you have turned on the window heat and you have all the 4 lights. The probe heat should be on if it is 3 degrees or below, and it is visible precipitation like snow and rain and fog. So, but if it is below 3 degrees and there is no visible precipitation, you can turn it off. Anti-ice, wing and engine anti-ice should be off. The electrical hydraulic pumps should be off, and the engine hydraulic pumps should be on, and you should get 4 low pressure lights. The voice record test, that's something you don't need to do. That is maintenance something they're using for maintenance. Continue up on the top here. Going to confirm that you have turned on the voice recorder, that the air temperature in the pilots are going to use the passenger cabin, and the supply duct is still just used for maintenance. You're going to confirm that the trim here is on, and the temperature selectors as required. So the cont cabin, that's going to be the cockpit, and forward and aft cabin. Auto is going to leave it at around 24 degrees if you have air in the packs. But like you can see here, we have no air in the packs currently, so it is going to be at about 29-28 degrees. But when you have the APU on and turn on the bleed, that's going to go down to 24. You can see that the air recircle fans are all both in the auto position. The packs, the left and right pack is in the auto position, isolator in the open, engine, both engine both engine bleeds are in the on position, and that the APU bleed is off. We're going to set the cruising altitude for a flight. In this case, that's going to be 310. And you're also going to set the landing altitude for your destination. Copenhagen is like 20 feet, so that's going to be 0 for us today. You're also going to check that the presentation mode selector is in auto position and you have no lights up here. So if you have it in alternate, you're going to get the green alternate lights up here, and the same with the manual. But very important that this one is in the auto position. And again, going to set the logo light on if it is dark, and the wheel light should be on. You can continue down on the EFIS. You're going to set the EFIS on the right if you want to. We are not going to do that. We can set the heading. So if it is an RNAV departure like this one is, you're going to set the runway heading. If it is an VUR or NDB departure, we're going to set the heading as required. So in this case, that's an RNAV departure, so we're going to set a heading of 192 degrees. For the altitude, you're going to set your initial clearance plus 100 feet if you don't have got your IFR clearance. If you have received the IFR clearance, you can just set it as the transition altitude or initial clearance, but if you haven't really got your IFR clearance, set 100 feet above it. If we are flying offline, so we're not going to get any clearance, so we're going to set it at 7,000 feet. The heading should set runway heading of 192 degrees. The speed should be at 0, and the reason why is that's the lowest, and to remind us that we have not selected our V2 speed yet. And the same here, I'm going to set a heading of 192 degrees. On the EFIS here, here we are going to fly. We're going to first set the MFRA, or the minimum flap retraction altitude. That's going to be normally 1,000 feet above airport elevation. Gardermoen is like 682 feet above the sea level. We can run that up to 700, so we're going to set 1,700 feet. And one thing you can do to increase the speed on the numbers, if you hold down Shift, then you can increase by 3 on many of the switches or knobs where you can when you have numbers. So that's a little handy trick to increase the speed on especially the minimums. Go to set the QNH. We are flying with the scatter clouds preset, so the QNH is going to be 1013. We're going to set VR or NDB as required. Range between 10 and 20 nautical miles is good, and the plan mode, or sorry, the map mode. And you can set what you want or what's required here. Normally I just use the terrain. The weather radar doesn't work in the simulator, so no point in using that. And also, if it is going to work one day, don't turn it on stand, because it can harm people on the ground and in the terminal, so that should stay off when you are not at the runway. Then we can continue down here. Going to check that these switches are in the normal position. You can switch the displays around like this if you want to, but normally they should be in the normal position. We're going to reset the fuel flow and confirm that it is resetting. Up here you have the takeoff or the D-rated takeoff switches that you can set manually if something doesn't work as it should. You're also going to set the auto brake to RTO and check that the light illuminates and then should extinguish, but it doesn't do it. And the flap lever is in the up position. And the same here, check that it is in the normal position. Continue down on the center pedestal here, or on the throttle quadrant. Got to confirm that the speed brake is down again. And the thrust levers are in the idle position, flaps 0 and 0 or as required. We got to confirm that the park brake is on, the engine start levers at the cutoff, and the stabilizer trim here. Very important that this one is in the guarded position. So if it is like this, down, now the manual trim is now out. So that means you can't steer the trim from the control column. And so yeah, then I'm using the trim switch on my control column now. You can see the trim is not working. So very important that this one is guarded. And if one of those is not, you can't turn on the autopilot either. We have done everything we need to do here in the on the tests in over here, but we got to check that the overheat detection is in normal position on both. Continue down here to the captain side here. We're going to set the comms as appropriated. So today we're going to fly without ATC, so we're going to set Unicom. If you like a delivery online, you're going to turn on delivery and so on, and set that as active. Or if you're flying offline, like we are doing now, you actually don't need to touch this at all. We're going to set the navigation as required. We are not going to set anything special here. We can set Gardermoen VR on standby 11595 in case of an engine failure. The microphone selector, you're going to have that on VHF 1. For the speaker or for the sound board here, I'm going to turn on the VHF 1 and 2, the flight and the I think it is called sync or something. And you're going to also turn on the speaker. That's also a benefit to have on. Here we have the I think it is called the intercom. Basically what this is how we talk with the ground crew. You want to make sure that it's in the middle position, otherwise the ground crew is going to hear everything you say in the cockpit. So it is good that this one is in the middle position. Here we have the boom and the mask. Basically what it is, if it is in the boom position, you're going to talk through the microphone on the headset. So that means the ATC and your co-pilot is going to hear from the headset microphone. If you turn into the mask, you're going to hear you from the microphone inside the oxygen mask. So if you don't have the oxygen mask on, you should have in the boom position. This here should be in the middle position, and this one should be in the normal position. And the ADF is going to be set as required. And also here we have serial codes. If anyone is eliminated, you can just click on it, and that is going to extinguish the lights. And also here again, lights as required. For here we have done the test on the cargo fire for our weather radar. Normally it should be set at auto, and you have weather and turbulence on turned on. But like you can see here, it is not operative, so we're not going to touch this at all. And down we go to the transponder to check that it is in standby position, and if you have not got your alpha clearance, you should squawk 2000. If you got to alpha clearance, you're going to squawk what you have got from ATC. And also here, if you're going to fly from the left seat, you're going to have it in one position, the modes. And if you are flying from the right seat, you're going to switch that over to the second. But we're going to leave that at 1. And you're going to check that the rudder trim is in 0, and also then you can also check that the elevator trim the aileron trim is in 0. Then we can go back here to the first officer side. So if the first officer is not pilot flying, you're going to set the international emergency frequency on 121.5. Set that in the active, or an ATC information if you want to listen to the ATs. Again, going to set the navigation as required. Going to set the VHF 1 mic on the first officer side. We're going to turn on the same sound as on the captain side. And again, check that the intercom is in the middle position, boom, in not mask, and center and normal. And here you have the ADF and the third radio. That should be on the data position if that is not in use. And if it isn't, to get that, you go to the highest of 118 or 118 and then one more down, and then you get the data position, and you can set that in the active. And then go to check that this or the stabilizer trim is in the guard position. And again, the flight door is inoperative, but that is now currently at auto. So yes, then what you can do, you can test the oxygen. So we're going to hold down this button until you get a yellow light here. I'm going to click that red button here, hold down it for 5 seconds, and you're going to monitor that the pressure up here is not going down by 5 psi, or sorry, 100 psi. When everything there is completed, you can run your Preflight checklist to the line. So I have the Norwegian checklist from 2013. So then we have the checklist is divided in two. It is currently with the newer one they have as well. So this one might not be 100% correct with the new one, and I know that, so. But it is a Norwegian checklist, so it works. So we can begin at the top. So pins and the covers, they are removed. Oxygen, we have tested 100%. We'll check that the nav transfer and display switches, all at normal and auto. Window heat, on. Air conditioning and presentation, check that the packs auto or off, depends on what you want, and the bleeds are on and set. Flight instruments, want to check, confirm that you're tracking 102 degrees, QNH 1013, and you're reading 600 feet, and you want to cross-check that with the other side as well. Park brake, set. Engine start levers, cut off. Rudder and aero trim, 3 and 0. And that you have done your takeoff and taxi briefing. So after that, then Preflight checklist to the line is complete. And we are not going to cover the takeoff and taxi briefing in this tutorial. So yes, that is basically everything for the Preflight. So I hope that you have enjoyed, and I hope to see you again on a future live stream. So have a good one, everybody. Bye bye.